full stack developer is an engineer who can build both front end, the client requirements, and the back end, the server requirements of a website. I, Shaurya, on behalf of the Ladger podcast channel, welcome you all to this episode in series of interviews. Today's panelist is working as a Scrum Master at world's largest bank. Captain Shashank Shandilya is an army veteran with 5 years of experience and a background of BTech in IT engineering. He is an alumni of prestigious IIM Lucknow and closely associated with startup ecosystem and have been a co-founder in startup that was part of NASCOM 10,000 startup program.
Very good morning, Captain Shashank. We welcome you to the podcast channel, and it's a privilege to interview you.
Thanks, Shaurya. It's my pleasure as well to help my brother officers later on when I'm out. I can help them transition. Then I feel that I'm continuing my patriotic duty towards the country and my brother officers.
Great. Any specific skill that you have acquired in your army service, which you feel that very helpful in your present job?
So I speak to a lot of people who are transitioning, and they ask me the same thing, right? What I feel is there are two sets of skills that the corporate world need, right? One is the hard skills, that is the Excel or the domain knowledge. If you are in a finance industry, then you have the knowledge of finance, all of that. But the other part, the other set of skills that are soft skills. I don't know why they call it soft skills. They are very important, but the soft skills is what we learn in the Indian Army. So that is leadership again. And all these words, if you see, right, all these words, these corporate use, right, tactics, strategies, and even if you go in coding, right, there are terms used at deployment to production, and all of that has been taken from the armed forces itself. Even the technologies in the older days, right, internet and everything has been an innovation of the armed forces. So similarly, all these soft skills that we learn, right, discipline, team management, any officer who's joining his unit is responsible for a set of people, right? And that's what the corporates are looking at, the soft skills, because hard skill can be taught over a period of time. Let's say if you don't know Excel, you can learn that even within a month, right? It's not a PhD that you have to do in this. You just have to go through a course or maybe just hands-on practice, and you can learn those hard skills. But soft skills cannot be taught. They are learned over a period of time with the virtue of experience or the place that you are in it. So this is what I feel the best skill set and the pros that we get from the armed forces is what corporates are looking at, and the soft skills. They really admire our leadership skills. They admire our team management skills. They admire our ability to stay calm in tough situations, because there are going to be, and not that sort which we face in the armed forces, but there are crisis, and then crisis management is your virtue. So all these things, I think, are really helpful for someone who is coming out of the armed forces and joining the corporate.
How well sorted and in advance planning was yours when it comes to transitioning from military to corporate?
So in my case particularly, there was no plan as such. I got a category, medical category, when I was, I think, around 4th year of my service. And then I came to know about this provision of release after 5 years of service. I thought, like, if I'm not going to serve for a longer period of time, then why stay for another 5 years and complete those 10 years and then go into corporate, or probably do my own thing. So that is how I decided. There was no plan as such. Yeah, but I knew, like, if I set my eyes and give it some time, and I'll be able to do justice to even the corporate job if I take one. So initially, I did not take a corporate job. I started my own thing, and that is how I went about it. So there was no planning, just going by the risk appetite that I developed during the forces, continuing with that. And I feel it was a great learning experience. And unfortunately or fortunately, I did not have all those resources that are available today, right? If you see, like we are talking here, you are doing a great job interviewing people like us. And this was not, even I did not speak to even any of my course mates because there were not many who are coming out, or any seniors also, I would say. I kind of went on my own path and discovered things by hit and trial. But I was lucky enough to get on the right path, and probably because my basics were correct, right? I knew why I'm doing this, how I can figure out by researching, and this is what helped me without a plan. But uh, for now, I would say, like, if somebody is coming out, there are plethora of resources available on internet, YouTube, or you can speak to people. There are a lot of groups that are being maintained for this very purpose. So if you can plan, because you know your out date, right? You know, this is like, for in our case, it is 15th of September in most of the cases, or the March, in case of SS officers. So you can backtrack and plan your movement out with respect to your career transition, as well as logistics and other stuff.
And what all upskillings are done by you while transitioning?
So upskilling, I would say, like, I see a lot of focus by officers to do a lot of certifications and courses, and even these distance learning. I'm not a big believer in all of those things. I am a believer in knowledge and experience. I believe by doing something, you learn more. That is what is taught in academy. Like, we are supposed to work as a Jawan, then only we can pass relevant orders while in service as an officer when you're leading. So I am a big believer in that. By doing and by learning, uh, I to this day I have not done a single certification or a degree, or a course, I would say, other than the PRC which I did from Lucknow. But what I did, I learned a lot of things from Coursera without doing the certification. So if you do the certification, you have to pay a certain amount. I never took the certification, but I learned all those courses, whether it's psychology, finance, marketing, or even project management or Scrum. I would say all of these, I have the knowledge, and that is what is required when I'm doing my job right now in corporate environment. Certifications will only get you, the best case would be to get you an interview. But in while in interview, your knowledge will be checked. And furthermore, while you do your job, खाली job थोड़ी लेना है, you have to work also later on. So you, while doing your job, your knowledge and experience would matter, not what certification you have. So if you are planning any certification, make sure you're learning it, not just doing for the sake of it, right? Doing n number of certifications, PMP and Safe, Agile, and all of those. Make sure the learning element is there. Six Sigma and all of those, people go and tell me, how can somebody teach you Six Sigma in a single day? It's a process improvement mechanism. You have to understand what the problem is and of that. Then only you can in that understand. You can just take broad, superficial knowledge of what are the definitions and all of that. That will not help you in long run. You need to understand what Six Sigma is solving, why it is being used, what are the use cases, how can you employ Six Sigma in your personal life. Like, if I want to lose weight, what is the Six Sigma progress process for that? So if you employ the critical thinking element, I think that is more beneficial, and that has worked for me. So this is what I tell others also.
Did you take any external assistance for resume building, LinkedIn profile making, or any on-site job assistance?
Not really, Shaurya. So again, who how can someone else make a better resume for me, because he has not lived my life? A resume or a CV is your list of achievements. You know better than others what you did and what you didn't do. Because if you mention something you didn't do on the CV, it will come out in your interview, or maybe later on in your while you're in service in corporate. So I always advise, make your own CV. You can take the format or the what are the tips, probably what is right, what is to be put, and what is not to be put from others, or maybe any external help if you're taking. But I advise strongly to make your own CV, because your interview is going to be based on your CV. That is the list of achievements that you have. And if you don't know what you have written in there, you will not be able to speak about it with confidence. So I highly advise, whether it's LinkedIn profile or the CV, don't take shortcuts. These are all shortcuts, I would say. And as far as job is concerned, you need to become proactive even before you are about to leave the services. So I would say, if you even if you become proactive with regards to job, connecting with the right people, because at our experience, whether it's 5 years, 10 years, 14 years, you will not get a job like how it happens in colleges, right? Freshers के लिए company आई and 70-80 बंदे को उठा के ले गई. For you, your job will come through referral. And for referral, you can reach out to people like us who are already employed in corporate, or you can reach out to people who are domain specialists. Take advice from them. Sir, I want to apply, or ma'am, I want to apply for this job. What do you think is the necessary skill set I should acquire in order to get this job? Don't ask, go and ask, sir, मुझे ये job चाहिए, या sir, can you refer me directly? Ask them advice first. If I'm eyeing for this job, can you tell me how to go about it? If you ask this way, people will respond. They will not respond, sir, can you refer me for this? So make sure you are reaching out to the right people at right time and with the right approach. And that will help. Not I don't believe in these external agencies who take your money and then get you job or something like that. You are responsible for yourself, and in your agent service, job will only come from referral. Or if you can, and for we are lucky that there are a lot of companies that are coming out especially for veteran program, so you can make use of that as well. But otherwise, if you in your domain you don't find any veteran program, this is the way to go. Reach out to people, get into networking, and become active on LinkedIn probably, and work with the right approach.
Please tell us about the importance of first interview and the salary negotiation.
You will feel like I'm a good officer in the Indian Army, and I have taken several interviews of Jawans probably, or officers, or I've given interviews to COs and all. But that is not how the corporate environment would work. There are going to be questions related to you only. So it's not like you don't know the answers, but you have to be transparent and honest about it. If you don't know some things, be transparent and be honest about it. That is what they are looking at, right? Soft skills they mentioned, right? If you are honest, truthful about yourself, then they will understand. Otherwise, if you try to project a view that you know everything and this and that, they will make sure like you don't get selected, because you are trying to appear overconfident and not reflecting the truth, because they know you are coming from a very different background, but they know you have certain set of skill set that we talked about, soft skills and hard skill they are willing to teach you. But don't project that I know coding, I know this and that, and I know project management. And especially in case of HR, I have seen people think in armed forces the king of HRs. No, you are not. In Forge, we have only done man management. We have not really taken any interviews. We have not decided any salary, compensation, or benefits. Probably some bit of learning and development, but that is again not focused towards corporate stuff. We have not hired anyone. We have not fired anyone. So HR in Forge is just man management. HR outside is totally different. Even if you go industrial relations, labor management, that is totally different. You have to follow the law, labor laws, and all of that. So don't have those misconceptions that you know everything. Try from scratch. Learn, and everything is available free of cost on the internet, on the YouTube, on the Coursera and Udemy and all of those sites, right? You can learn everything, but you have to have that open mind. If you don't have that open mind, then things will be troublesome for you. So for me personally, I kind of had that foresight that I am probably coming from a different background. So I had couple of interviews, some went well, some did go really well. But to those learnings, right? What did you need to introspect? What did really go well and what did not go so well? So I worked on those weaknesses, probably not weaknesses, but shortcomings which I had, and later on I was able to crack those interviews which are needed in order to get that job. And as far as salary negotiation goes, right? I did not really have a clear understanding on salary part because I was coming from different background and I did not have these resources which are available today, right? We are now, like as a major saab or as a lieutenant colonel, what your CTC is. I had a rough idea, but I was lucky in the industry that I chose was well paying. I joined first corporate job was in private equity, basically finance and investment. So that was a well paying industry. So I kind of got lucky there. But in case of other officers, right, who are thinking about salary and negotiation, I would say that there are three elements. If you allow me, I can go longer, right, Shaurya? This is a very good framework.
Absolutely, absolutely. Please.
So what I have been preaching also to others, right? There is three things that you need to take care of. First is place, position, and package. So three P's, right? If you are lucky, you will get two. Otherwise, if you get stuck on all the three, like मेरे को दिल्ली में ही चाहिए, इतना पैकेज चाहिए और इतना ही पोजीशन पे चाहिए, तो वो बहुत मुश्किल है. But if you are flexible on all the three, which I strongly recommend for the first job, later on you can obviously demand, once you have established yourself, you have set foot in the corporate world, you can go ahead and demand what you want. But for the first job, you have to be flexible in all the three. And if you're lucky, you will get at least one or two, right? So if you think of it in this way, right? Package, place, and position. So you should be flexible with the package, and 100% you have to be flexible with the place. Don't go ki mujhe Delhi ultimately most of the corporate jobs will be in metro cities, and some odd security or maybe HR jobs which are with the plants and all would be at remote places, but most of them would be at good places. So place factor is already taken care of. And if you have some need, right, you need to be at some place because of some other reasons, then later on give it time. फौज में भी तो किया ना आपने यार, 2 साल में you were moving around. So at least think of it as a first posting, right? 2 years, 3 years. Then you are good. You can go for your choice of place. So place you need to be flexible. Package, I would say just go if you get your last CTC, that is well enough to start with. Because people don't understand, right? It is not like government job जिसमें हर साल बस 3% से ही बढ़ रहा है. If you make a switch, you can get a good 30, 40, 50, 60, even 100% raise in some cases once you switch after 2-3 years of corporate experience. So package will always optimize in the long run. Don't be short-sighted. Think of the long run. You are going for a long innings, not for short 2020. So if you are going for a long innings, then plan accordingly. Don't get disheartened or think like ये इतना कम package कैसे होगा. Don't think like that. If you are getting your last CTC, that is good enough to start with, and later on you will excel. And I have seen people excelling, even those who join through veterans program, they get a good average industrial जो industry में package चल रहा है, that is what you get. So that is good enough. So place and package are taken care of. Be flexible on those. Last thing is position. Don't think if you are joining as an officer, earlier you were an officer, major saab, colonel saab, don't bring that baggage with you in the corporate world. Because when I started, I used to sit with these kids, right, fresh out of IIT IIMs, and they were teaching me stuff, and I acted like an intern. I always suggest act like an intern, right? Work day in and day out. Start acting like an intern. Sit with everyone, learn their job, learn your job, and then deliver after you have learned probably for, let's say, 6 months or so. So think of that initial 6 months, right, as you are joined. Even if you have joined as a vice president or a whatever, right? Think of you joining as an intern and learn everything as much as you can. Grasp everything. Be like a sponge. Grasp everything. And then later on, based on your learnings and experience, deliver. So if you do that, right, so the other things like package, position, and everything will be taken care of. So this is the framework that I recommend: package, place, promotion, position.
Thank you so much for that great insight, Captain Shashank. Please tell us your current role as a Scrum Master in the world's biggest bank?
Sure. So as a Scrum Master, right? Again, like a practical example, I'm doing a Scrum Master or Agility Lead as they call us in our company without having even CSM. I don't have CSM. That is the basic certified Scrum Master course. But I know because I learned in my previous role from my Scrum Master how he was doing, what he was doing, and why he was doing. So I was learning all those things because I started as a not as a Scrum Master, but some other role. But I was keen enough and the Scrum Master there, and people are really helpful. If you show your attitude of learning towards them, they will help you out until unless you get like you get very unlucky. But most 99% I've seen people will help you out, and if you reach out to them, they help. He helped me out, and I learned all those things without even doing the Scrum certification and all. I got into this role. So this role, if I take an analogy of a unit, right? So this role is like a 2IC of a unit. He's not writing the ACRs of the officers, so I'm not taking care of ACRs of my team members, but I'm responsible for their training, coaching, and stakeholder management. जैसे 2IC की तरह आप डिवीजन हेडक्वार्टर और ब्रिगेड हेडक्वार्टर और इन सबके बीच में कोऑर्डिनेशन करते हो. Similarly, as a Scrum Master or Agility Lead, I maintain coordination between business, product, and tech team. सो बिजनेस क्या रिक्वायरमेंट है, प्रोडक्ट को क्या रिक्वायरमेंट है, एंड टेक टीम वो डिलीवर कर सकती है कि नहीं, कितने टाइम में कर सकती है, एंड ऑल ऑफ दोस थिंग्स. एंड देयर आई स्टैंड अप आल्सो. Same ethos that I have of armed forces, I will stand up for my team, whether they are able to really do this in this time, stipulated time, which you are asking for. So you have to not forget what you learned in the armed forces. You have to stand up for your team. And similarly, if you do that, your team will also respect you. So this helps me. So kind of 2IC role, right? I'm managing a tech team with the help of the CEO, you can say, not CEO, but we are equal as engineering, who is the manager of that particular team. I'm not reporting to him. I'm reporting to who he is reporting to. So you are kind of equal. Agility lead and engineering lead are equal, but we are responsible for that particular team. My role mostly is about managing the technical uh, deliverables in time with the necessary process which the company wants. So I'm doing a pseudo tech role, right? I have to have basic understanding of tech. That is how I am able to do this job properly. Because if you don't know what is required to be done, in what time it can be done, you can't really speak up. So this is how a role of agility lead there will be in any of the company, or Scrum Master. They used to call it earlier. Now they have stopped calling it Scrum Master because that connotation of master and slave and all of that. There's no master or slave here. So they now call it agility lead. And this role is very much, I would say, suitable to people coming out of armed forces, even if you are a non-technical background, come from a non-technical background, because you don't need to go into nitty-gritty of what is happening, how they are coding and all of that, but you need to develop a certain understanding of how app is developed, or probably a project, any software works, or those things that can be acquired by working with your developers. कि उससे पूछो भाई ये कैसे करना है, ये कैसे कर रहे हो, and all of that you can learn on the job as well. And this role, I have seen a lot of success with other veterans also. They are rising up the ladder. They are becoming, even those who joined as AVP, becoming VP and all of those things. And this is where I feel the skill set as an officer from the armed forces will help you even gain experience and do justice to this job. Because any other job you go to will be purely into that domain specific. If you go to marketing, finance, HR, or you have to have that domain knowledge. But in this case, you can excel without having any specific domain knowledge, some technical knowledge that you can gain on the job. And similar to as a project management of project management officer, this roles requires management of stakeholders and delivering things on time with the intent of delivering in certain practices that are needed to be followed. And to do the certification also, that is very helpful and provides a lot of insights on how this job is.
Please tell us about the importance of networking and how one should plan about it.
Yeah, thanks. Networking, as I mentioned earlier, right? It is the thing that will get you the job. Other way, although there are veterans programs and all of those, but even in those programs, right? If you know, like if my company is having a veteran program, I will refer you and let you know about the process and everything. So that is where networking becomes really important. And like I talked about earlier, in our with our age and service experience, you will not get a direct. If you go and apply on, if you have seen, like if you go and apply on Naukri or even in LinkedIn, chances are you will not get a call. But that doesn't mean you stop applying, but you keep on applying, keep on appearing for as many interview as you can, because these are all learning experience. But the chances are you will not get through with that process. That is where networking is important. You reach out to people where you want to go and do the job, right? And you reach out to people, other veterans who are already employed in your company that you want to work with. You reach out to people in the domain or the industry that you want to work in, and ask them for guidance. Don't ask them for jobs. Networking is more about giving than taking, right? What we are doing, right? We are giving back to the community. I'm not expecting something from this coming back to me, but I'm expecting to give back to the community. If you start giving out, right, go on a LinkedIn, start writing is important, because that will give you visibility. Start writing about what lessons you can draw from your particular experience, that you had a posting of, let's say you managed a project, or even managing events, right? There's a big thing that we manage events in armed forces, although we crib about it, but there are learnings from it, right? आपने रेजिंग डे कैसे मैनेज करके मतलब वो ऑर्गेनाइज किया. You can mention all those learnings on LinkedIn, share it with others. That will provide you visibility. Don't think about taking from others. कि ये मेरे को job दिला देगा, ये job. Don't think that way. Think about giving to the community in for transitioning officer or even civilians, right? Civilians look up to us for a lot of things. So you tell them how you are working on your health. How do we work in armed forces on our health, right? How do we manage PT games and all of those things? How do you motivate your jawans? Mention all of those things. Who is stopping you to mention all of those things in LinkedIn? LinkedIn is allowed. So you mention those learnings on LinkedIn, and that is what will attract others. Like this officer or this person has something to give to the community, or add value to others. They will reach out to you instead. And then you start the talk, right? Can you, like, you reach out to people and ask them, sir, how did you go about it when you came out of services? Or probably if you're talking to a civilian, ask them what are the challenges that you face. In, Initiate a conversation. Don't go asking for help directly. Initiate a conversation, ask them, and then once you are comfortable, he is comfortable, she is comfortable, then ask for stuff, right? Then think about more about giving than taking. I would say that is the crux of networking.
Please tell us about your experience of co-founding the impoxo.
Yeah, so after I came out of services, right? So I got back together with my college course mates. We already had a plan earlier in while in college, but I don't think that atmosphere was there earlier. And these guys like Amazon, Flipkart were just getting started. Even Amazon was not there back in that day, like 2011 or so. Uh, we thought of going for a job, and I got into services, so that's a different story. But we always thought of getting back together later on, and that is how I got back together with them. And we started this global e-commerce product company called Impoxo. As the name suggests, like it had to do with import export, but more of online e-commerce stuff, that we were trying to bring all the Indian handicrafts and spices and food products on our platform, targeting markets abroad, either businesses or retailers. So you can buy as retail also, and you can buy on bulk also. That is how this Impoxo got started. We built this product from scratch by ourselves, and even while starting out, we got initial breakthrough. We got into NASCOM startup. We were selected into this NASCOM startup 10K program. Got incubated there and got an office in Noida and everything. That was a good thing for us because we were based in Noida. And we started working on the product. We launched the beta and listed a lot of products. But somehow that timing, I would say, was not coinciding with a good business environment. Demonetization had just happened. GST was getting implemented. So all these supply side guys, right, for us, they are the small businesses and small and medium businesses. They were getting really impacted by demonetization and GST. The after effects were showing in their businesses. So they were apprehensive of coming on the platform and all those things. And the other side, right, there was issues with getting things passed through customs. So red tapeism involved there is still there. But yeah, today the government is really trying its best to reach out to startups for their problems and solving them. But that was not the case back then when I came out, back in 16, 17. So although we started, we built the product and everything, we kind of had to shut it down because after speaking to our mentors and all of this, probably the product was ahead of its time. And I realized, like, while running the startup, there are issues that I don't know about. For example, finance, right? I'm a science graduate. I did engineering and then went to armed forces. So the only knowledge of finance I had by doing the account officer for a unit in which we follow the old age system of credit and debit, which is not the case, right? Outside, there are balance sheets, P&Ls, and all of those things, right? Cash flow statement. I did not understand that. So I decided I will go to this next best thing to MBA, that is the RPRC course, which I highly recommend for everyone to go, not just for the sake of doing it, but for the understanding. You are getting a good course in peanuts, right? You are getting what I think 88,000 what I paid for that 6-month course, and you are getting to interact with best of the professors from IIMs, and there are also avenues available for reaching out to the other students that are there, whether the the managers program, I think I am Lucknow have, and then there are other students who have cleared CAT and came for the regular MBA. You can interact with them. You get to learn a lot of things. You make connections, networks, and all of those things. So I went there. I studied a lot on what finance is all about, and they are teaching from scratch, right? If you have done the PRC course, you will know they are teaching everything from scratch. And I not just theoretical knowledge. I went ahead and joined a private equity Blackstone group, as you have seen, to gain on hands-on experience on practical knowledge and experience from there. So I went and joined a private equity company, and overall scheme of things, right, I learned of my shortcomings during my startup days, and I went ahead and fulfilled them later on with my this course and practical knowledge during the job. So even though I was well settled into the job and everything, but I kept on learning. This is what my advice is: keep on learning, be a learning machine, and no one can stop you.
Please tell us about your full stack developer certification that you have done.
So again, the other thing which I felt, although I'm an IT engineer, everyone is in engineering, was in engineering those days. So I also became an IT engineer, although I never wanted to be, but I became. But I never really understood how these things are being done, how coding, basic I knew, right? C, C++, basics. But all these fancy apps that were being made, websites being made, I did not understand how this how things are working in the background, right? I had superficial knowledge, like something is front end, something is back end, something is database, but how these are interconnected, you should have enough knowledge to get work done by other people. So if you have that enough knowledge, then only you will be able to get that work done out of people. So even as a agility lead or scrum master today, I am thankful that I did that full stack developer course, and thanks to my current company, which let me do that free of cost, and that helped me become a better agility lead today. And I now understand how these apps are made, how these websites or how the database work. The full stack involves everything, right? There's no front end, back end database. Everyone can do everything if you are a full stack developer. That is why full stack everything. Earlier, there used to be someone is front end developer, someone is back end, someone is database expert. But in case of full stack, you have to you are supposed to do everything. This is how I took on this challenge and took that wholesale knowledge of that particular industry which I'm entering, right? Tech, because that is the place to be. If you can, as a non-tech also, if you can get into tech, your future is secure, and it will always be in demand. I'm not sure about other industries. And because if you see AI and everything is taking care of your HR and every investment, everything they are taking. But someone who is into tech, who is developing all those AI and stuff, and pseudo managers like us, SDT lead, who are helping those developers become best of their selves. So this is the place to be, and that is how I got into tech.
How was your experience in Corps of Signal Regiment relevant in the corporate job?
So there are elements of it that comes handy when you are coming from a technical core. I would say, let's say engineers or signals, or probably even if you're coming from ASC or ordnance, right? You have some domain knowledge of logistics in case of ASC and ordnance. So you need to see what knowledge and skill set that you gained over in your services can be employed in corporate environment. In my case, as although we were responsible in signals for communication, we were also responsible for maintaining the cyber security part. So that gave me a good view of how things work in even in corporate world. If you have done the cyber security, if you have handled cyber security for your unit, or probably as a sparrow for your brigade or division later on, you know how vulnerable things are, and you are being taught from best of the people while in service. You can utilize that knowledge in corporate as well. Although I'm not using that much, but I know how to use it if I really wanted to go in that direction. And I've seen people from Corps of Signals doing very well in cybersecurity, which is also an upcoming field. So my advice is think of things which you did in armed forces, although you were cribbing about it earlier, right? Why do I want to do these events? Probably in later on, once you come out in corporate, you want to get into event management. So that is also there. So introspect yourself and your service career. That is where this process of making a CV by yourself or the resume by yourself comes in very handy. And you will get to know what achievements I had, what I enjoyed doing while in services, and take those elements and make your career out of it. So I have seen people doing really well in security even. If you enjoy doing that, or if you want to make a career in that, that can come handy in corporate also.
A lot of officers always reach out to pursue this Lean Six Sigma Green Belt as well as the PMP certification. You have already mentioned that without doing all those certifications, you could manage your first job. So tell us the relevance and importance of these certifications if somebody wants to pursue.
So I think I talked about it earlier also, right? Don't go for certifications or these degrees, distance MBAs and all of those. The ROI is not really good, especially for the distance MBA. If you really want to do a proper MBA or an executive MBA from a good institutes, ISB and above, IIMs or ISB, or probably one order NSI, what is that, NMIS, or go abroad from a good institutes. Again, not from these any of the institutes which just take international students. Do a good MBA if you really want to do, and your financial and other aspects, family wise and otherwise, that allow it. Otherwise, don't go for these distance MBA and all of this. The ROI is not really well. Focus on learning. Focus on learning. If you are going to do Six Sigma, how can somebody teach you a Six Sigma in one day? I am still not figured out. So go for learning and knowledge, not for certification and degree. That is what I feel works. But if you want to go for, right, even if you want to go for certification, then PMP, I believe, complements the skill set that armed forces officers come with. So that will complement your skill set. CSM, Certified Scrum Master, is another course which complement the skill set that you already have. So think of it in this way. If you want to go into security and you already have some idea of doing security, maybe you are part of NSG and all of that while in service. So do those certifications. Do domain specific. Don't do general things like मैं marketing भी कर लेता हूँ, ये भी कर लेता हूँ, logistics भी कर लेता हूँ. No, think of increasing your domain knowledge and the skill set that you have in from your past experience and where you really want to go. Because people think of it in terms of getting that just one job. No, you will get enough money, I would say, to be okay for a year, right? You get that gratuity and everything. So don't get disturbed or nervous or disheartened by not getting a job immediately. Take your time, take your 6 months, 8 months, and get a job in a field which you are interested in. Don't go for just a job like कि बस job लग जाए and that is it. Because later on you will regret, अरे ये मैं किस जगह आ गया, and then things will become difficult because then switching your field becomes difficult. But when you're starting afresh, you are high on energy. You want to do and get settled. So don't waste that energy into somewhere taking a shortcuts and just getting a job. So that's how I feel.
What is your opinion regarding the executive MBA from ISB or other IIM?
Great if you can manage it, right? I mentioned already, right? Only ISB and above. ISB, IIM, and probably NMIS and all. But don't go below top 10. That is my advice. ROI is not really good if you go below top 10, or even if you're planning to grow abroad, not below top 10. That is INSEAD, Singapore, or HEC Paris, or if you want to go to US or Australia or Canada, go for only for the top colleges. Otherwise, don't do it. It is not worth it. The amount of loan you will take, the financial commitment you will have, and the lack of pay, loss of pay. Don't think people don't think it that way. 1 year or 2 years, you will be unemployed and you will dip into your savings. So it's a more of a personal finance decision as well. Yeah.
Okay. How does the technical or the non-technical background of a transitioning officer does matter while choosing a new job?
It depends, right? Because it's not just about technical or non-technical background. I would say there is a technical bent of mind and there is a non-technical bent of mind. You can be a person from non-technical background. Probably you are in infantry or you had done your undergraduate in commerce, but you are into technical things, right? Mobile में ये app डालना, वो करना, and अपने laptop में ये software डालना, ये सब करना. That is technical bent of mind. That is what they are looking at. Obviously, your technical background, if you have, that helps. But if you have technical bent of mind, that will be very useful even for a non-tech person to get into tech. And tech is the high paying and long lasting career if you want to get into at this point in time. So it matters. But at the end of the day, it will matter how much you want to learn and do you really have that technical bent of mind. If somebody does not have technical bent of mind, he knows, then don't try and go into technical. For technical person, he knows, although my technical background is this, but I don't enjoy technical stuff. So don't go into technical jobs or career because you will not enjoy it. Go into more non-tech stuff like operations is there, HR is there. And if you have interest, then finance is also there. There is project management, which is pseudo-technical. Again, Scrum Master, pseudo-technical. So you can go into all of these things. So ultimately, whether you are technical or non-technical, it depends on your interest and that bent of mind. Do you really have technical bent of mind? And you know yourself, introspect yourself, I would say.
Okay. As per you, please list out some qualities that you feel that they are very tailor-made, suitable for a corporate job that are already imbibed in a army officers, especially, which upon which they can cash their in new job?
Yeah. So starting with the common ones, right? I think we covered it earlier also. Leadership is what they are looking at. Even if you are part of team, you are all equal, but there is an element of leadership that will help you stand apart from other team members, like taking initiatives. So what you are supposed to do as a leader, you need to lead by example. All of those things, if you have done in the armed forces or the army, you will do same in the corporate, and they will be admired and looked highly upon. First thing is that. Second, don't forget your ethos that you have, the Chetwood credo and all of those things. I know it is not exactly uh, applicable in the corporate environment, because it is all, you have been working all your life for a non-profit entity, right? There was no concern of profit. But once you're transitioning into corporate, remember that it is a, at the end of the day, profit making enterprise. It is supposed to work on optimization of your available resources. But therein also, if you do work like you used to do in your armed forces, like taking care of your men, in this case it would be team members. If you are a manager or below, you can take care of your team members by standing up for them, asking them not to exhaust themselves and all of that. So if you have that EQ, right, emotional quotient, you can gel up well with the team and stand apart. So this is again spillover effect from your armed forces services. And apart from that, if you have any domain knowledge, so that is very subjective and personal. If you have, like in my case, I mentioned, right, I come from Signal, so I have cybersecurity knowledge. In case you come from a logistics core, like ASC or AOC, you have that or logistic bent of mind, right? How much time will it take to get this stuff from here and there and all of that? So that will help you. So you need to introspect yourself in case of domain. Otherwise, all these things, soft skills we mentioned, leadership, team management, man management, motivation, all these things will come in handy while you join the corporate world. Don't forget what you were taught in training, I would say. If you stand up for those things, that is why you are being recruited. If you are honest and have your integrity intact, don't get lost into the corporate world just because you are joining it. If you stand up for all those things, I'm sure like you can excel in corporate as well.
What do you miss most from your uniform life?
Uniform life, I miss the lifestyle that I had, obviously. Not having to basically uh, be concerned about, although I'm single, but concerned about family needs and all of those things, right? All these things are being taken care of by organization. In corporate, it's different. Like you get the money, you do whatever you want to do with it. So, okay, but yeah, so the lifestyle is probably, that is one thing that you are going to miss. And that zeal of working for something bigger than yourself, that purpose, right? There you are working for something bigger than yourself and company or whatever. In corporate, it's all about profits. And so that is the thing that I think I miss. Yeah.
Any last word of advice for the officers under transitioning?
So my advice has always been introspect yourself, think about what are your strengths and what are your shortcomings. Don't think in terms of weakness, think of it as shortcomings. Work upon them. I'm sure you are a commissioned officer, you passed the SSB, you worked in the best organization that is there on this planet. You have those things in you. It's just that you need to work and polish them. So the director of IM, when I was interviewing him someday back when I was doing PRC, he was saying the same thing. You are already diamond, we are just polishing them. So you are a diamond, you have to polish yourself in order to adapt to the new environment. And I'm sure a Fauji can adapt to any environment possible. So just work upon your skills, learn and be a learning machine. You will be unstoppable. Think about it as I mentioned earlier, whenever you are joining your first job, think of you as an intern. Learn from everyone and anyone possible. And that will help you excel even further. Don't be short-sighted. Don't think of just getting one job. There are many jobs that will come in your way. You will be switching also. Don't think about the package and place and position initially. गेट योर सेल्फ अकस्टम्ड, सेट योर, बस अपना पैर एक बार घुसा लो, उसके बाद अपने आप सब चीज विल फॉल इन प्लेस. सो think of it in a long term, long innings, not T20. Don't get disheartened if you're not getting a callback or a interview or any chance. There are hundreds of places where you can apply. Just apply if you are in that phase, right? You are probably doing TRC or just about to come out of the services. Apply for one job each day. Apply for one job each day, I repeat. Just it will hardly take 5 to 10 minutes of your time. Apply to relevant jobs each day, one job. And I'm sure like within 6 months, 6 months is a good amount of time to get a proper job in the field you want. You have to work upon this, obviously, on your skill sets and talk to people, network, and as I said, give back to the community, be active on LinkedIn, share your learnings, add value to others. But if you apply one job each day, you will get a multiple of opportunity to give interviews. There also you will learn, and I'm sure later on you will get that first job, and later on uh, create a good career for yourself. That's my only advice.
Thank you so much, Captain Shashank, for your valuable insight. I'm sure your mantra of 3 Ps, the position, the package, and the
Place.
place will definitely help the viewers. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your time.
My pleasure. My pleasure, Shoya. Thanks for having me. I wish all the best to all the transitioning officer. I'm available on LinkedIn or YouTube by the channel Captain Cool. So if people can reach out to me if they have any additional questions or they just want to connect with me. Thank you.